The ANC held a media briefing on the outcomes of its NEC meeting at the weekend. The party revealing that it tackled the high cost of living and unemployment among other issues in its final NEC meeting. This is ahead of the electoral conference that will be taking place in a couple of weeks' time. Of course, there was also the issue of the president of the party and the Phala Phala scandal. Ziyanda Ngcobo was attending that briefing for us today. Ziyanda, yesterday, of course, in that closing remarks session, it was very clear that the president was not going to be taking questions. In fact, he would defer everything to today.
Yeah.
What we have as a context in the run-up to this NEC meeting are all the former presidents of the ANC raising concern about the Phala Phala scandal, what it means for the president to have that over the head, and probably over his head rather, and probably Kgalema Motlanthe, who was unequivocal in saying that the NEC wasn't given an explanation. He's not sure about what happened with the Integrity Committee. All of that leading us into this past weekend.
Absolutely, and still not much really coming forward from Paul Mashatile, the Acting Secretary General, basically saying that that discussion behind closed doors was confidential. Suffice to say that, yes, they were briefed on what happened at Phala Phala by the President, but the Integrity Commission was not able to conclude its report. They don't know when that report will be concluded. So that is in and of itself becomes another political football. In a big week such as this one, we're expecting the independent panel looking into whether or not the president should be impeached. That report is going to be concluded. And now you have the Integrity Commission, which is yet to say whether or not he's been brought, whether President Cyril Ramaphosa has brought the party into disrepute. Remembering that the Electoral Commission, led by former President Kgalema Motlanthe, part of the rules say that, you know, if there is a determination made against you by the Integrity Commission, then that in and of itself may be a disqualifying factor going into the conference. So everything hinges on timelines at this particular point in time and how quickly things get done. And there's still the possibility of a special NEC meeting being called. We have about 5 weeks to go until the 16th of December.
The understanding, Ziyanda, is that the president of the party presented himself to the Integrity Commission around June. That would have been about 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Given his position in the organization, the urgency, the sheer weight, why would the Integrity Commission not have its report ready? Have they been called to answer questions? What are they saying about that process?
So, I mean, remember going into this weekend, there was a perception, and it seemed even the acting treasurer and acting secretary general, Paul Mashatile, was under the impression that that report would be tabled before this NEC meeting. Now it turns out the president did appear before the Integrity Commission more than once, I think twice or 3 times, but he cited the current investigation by the public protector that he actually had gotten a gag order insofar as speaking about the details and the minutiae of what actually happened then. So that's what the Integrity Commission told the NEC insofar as that report is concerned. But there were, you know, some people were raising the contradiction. So you were able to explain before the ANC NEC, but you're not able to actually give some detail to the Integrity Commission. So that's where that issue stands. It was the first time that the ANC NEC was actually taken into, you know, the president's confidence. Whether or not
can we say that they were
well,
taken
I mean,
into
nobody wants to
really
tell us. That's the thing, right? So they're all saying, look, it's behind closed doors, but we know there was pushback. Some saying that this issue has brought the organization into disrepute. So yes, you may not be formally charged, but at the same time, this cloud hanging over your head is not boding well for the organization. Interestingly enough, you know, the president's supporters also backing, I guess, I think it's a strategic move, you know, Zweli Mkhize, the discussions on whether or not he should as well, you know, sort of step aside because of what's happening with digital vibes. And I think it's what is typical in politics. It's about interest more than it is about principle sometimes.
How much have the difficulties, just to wrap it up, Ziyanda, that the parties facing in other provinces? So you have the likes of the Free State that have not been able to really hold an elective conference, and their position going into conference seems to be under question right now. How much of those administrative issues that could prove to be a nightmare when they actually get to the conference? How much are those being given attention right now?
So that's an issue that's been discussed insofar as how they're going to give delegations. So it's the Free State and the Western Cape that haven't sat for their provincial conferences. I think it will ultimately mostly affect those who are on certain slates or on certain running tickets insofar as their numbers are concerned. But, you know, it wouldn't be the first time that there are certain structures that go to conference. It's a matter of sometimes you take, you know, branch secretaries and branch chairpersons, or you decide whether or not a task team is able to have voting power. So that's also something that the Secretariat would have to deal with.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Ziyanda Ngcobo tracking then that report back session that included questions and answers held by the acting SG, also the Treasurer General of the ANC. Stephen?